नहमदुहु नसल्ली अला रसूलिल करीम अम्मा बाद फ़अऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम. Dear student, today we want a lecture on social change and development. A change in social structure of society is called social change. Social change is a way of human interaction and relationships transform culture and social institution over times. Interaction and relationship that transform culture and social institution. The reformation, the abolition of the transatlantic slave trade, the civil rights movement, the feminist movement, the green movement. There are numerous and varied causes of social change. Four common causes as recognized by social scientists are technology, social institutions, population, and the environment. All four of these areas can impact when and how society changes. These changes ultimately transform culture and social institution, concepts and rules which will inevitably impact society for the long haul. These changes and transformation are not necessarily good or bad, but they are profound. Without social change, we cannot progress as a society. The concept of social change involves transition in society from one state to another within a specific point in time. The level of change and whether this change has a profound effect on society depend on a complex interplay of actor, actions, and organization. Population growth may lead to geographic expansion of a society. Military conflicts and the intermingling of cultures, increasing population density, may stimulate technological innovation, which in turn may increase the division of labor, social differentiation, commercialization, and urbanization. Positive social change results in the improvement of human and social condition and in the betterment of society. Such changes can occur at many levels, including individuals, families, communities, organizations, and government. Positive social change is driven by ideas and action with real-world implication. Social change refers to change in the social structure, while social development results in the transformation of the social structure. The idea that there is a relationship between each of the variables constituting the social structure is very important in terms of understanding social change. It has been understood that social change is a term shall signify such changes as affect the nature and structure of social group and institution and the social relations between the individual, the group, and the institution and a society. Development, evolution, and progress are the different moods of change, and whenever we speak of social change, the importance of each of these moods has to be assessed. For the changes brought about by each of these processes will have distinct impression upon the functioning of social phenomena. It has been understood that social change is a term shall signify such changes as affect the nature and structure of social group and institution, and the social relation between the individual, the group, and the institution in a society. Functioning of social phenomena. The term development, as has been discussed earlier, means formal and structural changes in an organism. Even though society is not an entity like the living organism, the term as applied to such organism can have its valid application in social matters. Just as life grew from the simple to the complex form, society developed in the sense that its energy accumulated collectively. Such energy is organized for functioning in a definite direction, and harmony is achieved between the different social organs for the purpose of effecting an overall development. Social evaluation as a term has its complexity, and as has been noticed earlier, evolution in an organism mean branching out from a single amoeba into different genera and species, and then from the species into various forms that are caused by the process of differentiation. In the case of society, as Gisbert puts it in his Fundamental of Sociology, evolutionary change means a branching of a line in various directions which again ramify. And definitely a condition of simplicity changes into situation of complexity, and social evaluation witness the progress development of social ways and custom, norms and belief and association and institution. Social progress does not mean more development or evolution. For in either of these terms, we have witnessed the change from the simple to the complex. Though different writers have doubted whether or not changes in society can be regarded as progress, and when the concept of social progress is upheld, what factor determines such progress? The term progress has been applied to social change in a few cases. Social progress definitely cannot evaluation, and such evaluation is made according to certain principle. If the principle according to which the evaluation is to be made can be objectively ascertained, measuring progress does not become a difficult affair, but such principle cannot always remain free from subjective value judgment. When a subjective analysis confuses progress with happiness or material comfort, the conclusion tends to remain on the wrong side of value free judgment, and the sociologist must always guard against such pitfalls in a reasoning. Different theories of social evaluation as understood in a living organism necessarily stand for a process in which simple matter develop into the complex. But such development is always caused by innate qualities of such organism and not by any extraneous factor. Darwin's Origin of Species may have crystallized ideal about the phenomenon of development in living organism, but the concept of it was grasped in some inadequate form or the other by some thinker. Even before that, particularly when it concerns social evaluation, the thought has been current for the past century or two. But upon the nature of such evaluation, there has been difference of outlook between different students of social sciences. Herbert Spencer maintained that social evaluation is only a part of the general process of evolutionary development in all living matter in the world. Society evolves from the simple form into the complex one. As it difficult the function of integration and differentiation and its various organs and consequently out of the same unit of society. Different social systems come into existence. According to Spencer, there are three stages in the evaluation of society. The first stage is known as integration, the second is differentiation, and the final one is determination. In the initial stage of social development, the different units of society have to be integrated and a system has to be built up. For example, if the family is taken as a basic social unit, the first stage in social evolution was the bringing together of these family and their integration into a larger unit known as society. In the second stage of development, institutions like division of labor grew up, and the process involved itself with differentiation in the sense that different classes, castes, and tribes appeared. In the ultimate stage, however, the different segments of society came together and set up a new social structure based on harmony. This was the evolutionary stage of determination, for in this stage an order was established for the process of integration and differentiation. So that harmony could be achieved, Franz Oppenheimer has asserted in his work the state involved in the process of applying certain principles for the satisfaction of man's creature and basic need. According to him, there are two ways in which man can supply his basic need. One of them is work, which is an economic activity, and the other is robbery, that is explanation as a political activity. And the state arose when the political means were organized. Clearly, huntsmen had no state in the sense that they had not exploited political organization. The state came into being with the Viking and the herdsmen who learned to exploit. To divide society into classes, to hold slaves and establish the concept of the privileged class and the unprivileged people. Oppenheimer analysis of the development of the state is unsatisfactory, maintaining that the state only robs and exploits is a poor implication of its function. Since the state performs other functions too, like maintaining law and order and punishing those that violate the law, besides that condition is obtained in a state might have existed even before the state it is known came into existence. In effect, it becomes difficult to go into the question of the beginning or the origin of a state is a social organization. M.C. Iowa and Page have stressed the importance of the process of depreciation in matter of social evaluation. They hold that social evaluation stands for an integral change within the social system itself, and as a result of such changes, functional differences can be brought about within the system. According to them, primitive society did not have many distinctions observed on the basis of different functions, and besides the difference between tribes, clans, age group, and sex group, not much of differentiation was noted. Division of labor in these communities was an underdeveloped practice, and association and organization did not exist in these societies. The community as such exists on the basis of a simple solidarity, and M.C. Iowa and Page observed that the undifferentiated character of the primitive society saw in it the prevalence of a simple form of communism. Thus, the community devised a system of sharing the hunters' spoils, and even with regard to matters like sex that are treated as personal and intimate by us. Custom and practices prevalent in those days allowed a kind of sharing by the community. If there was any differentiation in such society, it was based on natural distinction of sex and age, and the multitudinous aspect of differentiation as exists in modern complex society were at best latent, if not totally absent. According to M.C. Iowa and Page, association and organization in a modern complex society are so many that immediately strike a contrast with the simple institution-based primitive society. Historically speaking, diffusion of ideas from the beginning of the earliest civilization in Mesopotamia, Persia, India, and China perhaps caused the evolutionary development of human thoughts and therefore of human society. But the generic lines of evolutionary development will be best understood if attention is focused upon the following feature of such development. A society has evolved from simple communal custom into various differentiated associations. Codes apply to these associations, and each association is developed by an institution comprising of specialized procedure and practice. Thus, political, economic, religious, and culture usage in a community collectively develop into community practice, and from that stage, different forms of procedure involved as differentiated communal institution. Finally, these institutionalized procedures become immodified and depreciated institutions like the state, the economic organization, the school, the cultural institution, and the like. B. The institution stage in society is so radically different from the level that obtained in the primitive society that it has introduced an entity different form of social relationship. There are voluntary and involuntary association, and each great association structurally and functionally differs from the other. For example, in the second stage of development as shown above, only one set of political institutions exists for the whole society, or one set of religious institutions is appreciated. But in the third and the associational stage, several political organizations and diverse ideas regarding the state are entertained, just as the religious organization diversifies into various forms of religious association. The church, for instance, began as a religious institution in the second stage of development of society. But in the final stage, it has advanced into the form of different religious association. See, when social events are studied historically, they present the earlier types of social units and the later types of the same. The differentiation between these types help us to classify and characterize the diverse social system as they evolve historically is also to understand the causes and the evolutionary process that brought about definite results. Hence, there is a historical pattern in social evaluation, and if effects are noticed in the evaluatory process, there must be causes that explain such differentiation. This particular view of MCI were and page is not totally different from the observation made by M. Ginsberg in his studies in sociology. Ginsberg says that evolution is a process of change culminating in the production of something new but exhibiting an orderly community and transition. M.C. Ivor and Page also admit that in the evolutionary process, certain forces cause the change which is but an orderly expression of a few form that has culminated from an older one. However, Ginsberg would not admit that social evaluation implies the change from the simple to the complex. As M.C. Ivor would put it, his idea of evolution is that while the process of transition introduces something new, such novelty is but a continuity of some social element. That is permanent evolution, truly speaking, means change that comes from within, but as Ginsberg point out, extraneous factors also condition social evolution in his view. It is that evolutionary changes in society are best understood when the subject of society, that is, the individuals, are taken into account. He maintained that the real subject undergoing development are men of society who speak and think and are religious. If this view alone is taken, it would not mean that social evolution stands for substituting the simple organism by the complex one. It would rather mean that evolutions occur in thoughts and ideas and in the interaction of human social relation. But then human interaction and social relations cannot exist in complete detachment from social custom and institution. Every social event is the effect of complex action and reaction of human relation, just as a human social relations are the effect of the complex functioning of the social structure. Ginsberg says that if individual makes society, it is equally true that society makes individual. It follows therefore that a mere consideration upon human actions and reaction for the upper gauging of social change will be an inadequate approach. It must be accepted that social change as a concept is an evolution of the individual as well as of the society itself. Social change and progress. Every event of social change cannot be regarded as progress, for progress must be cannot the taking of a step forward. If at the root of revolution we have the stages of integration and depreciation, progress would stand for a development in a particular direction which is regarded as a step forward according to definite criteria of value. judgment, while evaluation has no definite direction other than the new one, which is inherent and irresistible in itself. Progress must tend for a march in a forward direction according to some accepted principle that is formulated by a particular principle of judgment. Ginsburg maintained idea of progress that progress is a development or evolution in a direction which satisfied rational criteria and value. In order to measure progress, it is necessary to apply the test of ethical advancement made by society, which of course is an irrelevant factor so far as evolution is concerned. Rather like common, and Spencer would maintain that any evolutionary development of society must necessarily mean that it has progress. Herbert Spencer particularly insists that social evolution cannot have any meaning other than that of progress. But these views are not accepted now by more modern writers. M.C. Iowa states in his society that evolution is scientific concept and progress an ethical concept. Even Houses observes that evolution of any form does not necessarily imply that it is changing into the better form, and therefore we cannot conclude that evolution necessarily implies that society is progressing. According to him, progress can be made only when the individual and society strive for ethical advancement. Social progress, therefore, is not a phenomenon marked by spontaneity. Spontaneity. It is the product of conscientious efforts made by social individuals. The concept of progress is based on the vision for an ideal society in which every individual will have the opportunity of developing has innate qualities, in which the very basis of social relation will be principle of liberty and equality, and in which the institution will aim at comprehending the foundation of collective good. These are, however, matters of value judgment, and the concept of progress cannot be understood without applying the test of values. Evaluation as a term does not depend on these values. Some modern sociologists, however, feel that the science of technology is not concerned with ethics, and therefore the term social progress, which cannot be understood unless it is related to ethical value, will not be the concern of the sociologist and will consequently have no scientific value. They maintain that no scientific observation and rational conclusion shall to be based on any ethical value. If the method followed by the sociologist in the study of society is that of the positive sense, and if the principle of causation are to be objectively investigation into it will be an anomaly if facts are correlated to value. However, social facts cannot be regarded as isolated phenomena. Every social event has a practical side to it and another concerning values. M.C. Ivor and Page observe that social facts can also be regarded as value facts. Since social valuation is much concerned with them, therefore the author maintained that science appreciation value judgment first in order to test the accuracy of final evidence in support of a value judgment, and secondly for testing the validity of conclusion regarding the good or the bad, and so far as these conclusions are supported by reasoning from statement of facts. For example, valuation obtainable in any social institution may be studied scientifically in order to test their validity, but the sociologist shall not apply his own personal judgment to such valuation which are ingrained in the social fact themselves. In this way, a value judgment can be objectively made in upon the term social progress. But the social scientist must begin his work by looking upon evolution as a value-free fact. Thus, one may objectively determine the degree of progress made by a particular society only after one has disinterestedly studied the growth of its association and institution and the physiological elements and social relation between individual and it. An objective study of social progression can be facilitated by considering the factors that hinder an abstract advancement in material as well as psychological terms. Any rigid attitude towards scientific development, material condition will have both material and psychological implication. If science and technology is looked upon with suspicion, and if there is a blind adherence to outmoded custom, material development in the society will not be achieved, while social mentality in general will remain unliberated. But if technology is applied to the process of developing and utilize natural resources, material advancement will undoubtedly take place. And at the same time, men will have enough scope of cultivating constructive thoughts about developing his family, his social and moral conscience grow in degree, and he learn to propagate the idea of integrating effort in the direction of realizing the common good. Hence, we can conclude that the society in which scientific development is hindered will not progress, while the one which encourages such development will have chances of making progress. In this observation about social progress can remain scientific and so far as it is based on social fact and not merely upon ethical consideration. However, there are problems connected with the adoption of a scientific attitude toward the study of social change. Whether such changes speaks of evolutionary development or of mere progress, social change is a phenomena is so complex by itself that the analysis of no single factor can lead us to definite conclusion. In trying to explain any phenomena scientifically, any of the following mistakes can be made. The scientist may think that any one of many factors relating to such phenomena is the dominant factor. B. He may assume that social forces can be quantitatively measured. For example, if it is to be considered by the middle classes in India grew under the British rule, it may be wrong to conclude that this class grew and developed only because it applied itself to the task of promoting the standards of British oriented profession and occupation. Besides that, there might have been other factors too, which contributed to the growth of that class. Similarly, if the social scientist allow himself to conclude from a number of social facts in the same manner in which quantitative conclusions are made following the study of number of linear facts, he will not acquire for himself of a proper perspective of the complex pattern of social facts. The truth is that in the primitive society, the people unified social authority with their techniques and culture, and the basic personality structure of every individual was ascertainable. The simplified study of the primitive individual may then be possible, but modern complex society has introduced so many factors for the interplay of social relations that the sentence task does not remain simple. Technological advancement has in modern times broken up the primitive unity of social authority. Technique and culture. Culture has been detached from other biophysical factors, and within the same society, different culture and subculture may coexist. In the modern social system, specialization and the diversity of numerous groups and associations have given to society such multi-perspective that the sociologist cannot afford either to isolate one social factor by study or derive conclusion from a number of social facts. Thus, he must realize that several factors combine to produce social changes, and as these factors make the combination, they interrelate themselves within the larger environment of society. The study of social change must, according to MCIOR, take into account the attitude they defend on a particular culture, background, and the objective to which such attitudes are related. The system of means for fulfilling such objective in the physical and biological condition that from the charging objective, the changing objective, and the human nature that follow them. The scientist must first study the interrelationship of the various factors, analyze the logical order in which they fall, and finally build up an observation upon the manner in which they make up the causal process in which social change is effected. So it was a lecture about social change and how social change has been taken place. There are so many factors are involved. Among these factors, geographic condition, population trend, and the technology. There are so many things which are present in that area. They affect the culture as well as they affect the social value and they affect the norms. For example, if we provide a good technology to that area, automatically what happen? There they will get the more production and through this way they will gain the more output and their income level will be increasing and through this way there a change occur in their house structure and changes occur in their way of life and their speaking and everything there changes occur. So these are processes called social change. So multiple factors cause the social change. For example, if the import increasing or export increasing, what happened to social change? Automatically they affect the society. And when the society value are affected, when the purchasing power of the farmer increasing and the people purchasing power is increasing, automatically they change their attitude and their religion and as well as there some changes also occur in their environment and then before they have no car but now they have car and they make the road and through this way they create a change. So from this discussion it is clear that any change in social structure of society is called social change. But social change, when we desirable and when they increase per capita income, either they provide improve the socio-economic condition of the people, either they increase the dignity of the people, respect of the people, and they increase the sustenance of the people, and they increase the satisfied situation of the people, and they bring the prosperity in that area, and they increase the economic growth of the country, of the population. Automatically through economic growth their income level will be increasing and through this way they will purchase the radio and they purchase the mobile and they will purchase cycle and motor and their media automatically will be developed and their transportation facility will be also improved. So before they were only live in the village but now they go here and there very easily from one place to another. It was the end of my lecture. So please listen this video and identify the social change, how the social change has been taken place. Wassalam, Agriculture University Zindabad, KPK Zindabad, Pakistan Zindabad.